Welcome back. New developments today as Senator Al Franken breaks his silence on the sexual misconduct allegations against him, saying he is, quote, embarrassed and ashamed. Let's take a listen to some more.
It will take some time, but I think that with I'm taking responsibility. I've apologized to women who have felt disrespected and to everyone I've let down. I'm cooperating fully with the ethics committee, and I am trying to handle this in a way and that adds to an important conversation and to be a better public servant and a better man.
And in a separate interview with the Star Tribune, Franken announced he will return to work in Washington, D.C. Tomorrow. So let's talk all about this. Joining me now, Hugh Hewitt, host of The Hugh Hewitt Show, and Christina Greer, Associate Professor of Political Science at Fordham University. Welcome to you both on this Sunday evening. I want to take a bit more listen to Franken, and then we'll talk.
See, if you had said to me 2 weeks ago that that a woman was going to say that I had made her uncomfortable and disrespected her in one of these ways, I would have said no. This has been a shock to me.
So you have Franken kind of acknowledging and recognizing that he didn't even know the actions that he was doing, the things that he was saying and doing were making women feel this way. I think some people obviously would be critical of that. But Hugh, I'm going to start with you on this. He's apologized. He has expressed remorse. Is that enough?
I don't think he has apologized, Yasmin. In fact, if you go back to the original allegation by the radio host, it was not just of the picture. It was of a period of 2 weeks on a USF tour where Al Franken first assaulted her and then belittled her for 2 weeks, made her life a living hell on that tour. And he has not apologized for that. In fact, he said we have different recollections about it. And so I think he's getting a pass because he's Al Franken and liberals like Al Franken. But that original charge, the other three women, I don't know enough about the details. That original charge was specific, detailed, and prolonged. And the senator has said nothing about it, and I was disappointed that the Star Tribune did not press him on the details of those 2 weeks, because I think that is very germane here.
Is he getting a pass here, Christina? Should there even be a political line here? I mean, because I think a lot of times people right now are siding with their Republicans, or they're siding with their Democrats and the people that they like and the people that they support. But this is not about politics.
Right. These are not partisan issues. But I think there is a difference between a pedophile and someone who is sexually assaulting and groping or harassing
accused
women.
pedophile. Accused
alleged.
Pedophile. Right.
So with Al Franken, though, I mean, what really aggravates me about his apology, and I will put that in quotes, is that he's still using passive language. Use active language. Do not use language of, if she felt that I possibly disrespected her. You did disrespect her. We actually have pictures that you disrespected her. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you. You have to go, and if you are going to have a mea culpa, you need to actually, if you're being genuine about it, say what you did and then take the consequences, whether it's the ethics committee, whether you really have to walk through and think about your behavior from the past 10, 15, 20 years, especially as other allegations come out. But I really do not want this to become a partisan issue where the Democrats say, well, you know, he's lovable and affable and he's been a great guy and he votes the way we need him to vote, so these allegations, you know, should just go by the wayside. These are serious allegations. We also, though, cannot conflate, I think, alleged pedophilia and sexual harassment when we think about,
and of course,
certain Republicans.
Important for us, we have to make sure we put this out there. Roy Moore denying all the allegations that have been made against him. But isn't that exactly what's happening here, Hugh? Is that it's becoming so much more politicized, especially when you think about Nancy Pelosi's interview with Chuck Todd earlier today on Meet the Press?
I was on the set watching the former speaker try and weave her way 30 years of statements. It's very difficult when you don't have one standard. I want to preface this by noting that in our audience there are far more people who have been harassed or assaulted than there have been falsely accused. But we know that false accusations happen. Cardinal Bernardin in Chicago was falsely accused of molesting a young man who later recanted. The Duke lacrosse team. The University of Virginia fraternity that was slandered and defamed by Rolling Stone in 2014. But overwhelmingly, the number of people people who have been assaulted and harassed outweighs those who have been falsely accused. And so I think we have one standard, one burden of proof, one set of probative value standards, and we apply it to every case. In the case of Roy Moore, I concluded after reading the Washington Post story that it was true, and I would not vote for him. Write in Nick Saban. I agree with Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan, and I think the Senate should expel him if he's elected by the people of Alabama, because it's got to protect its own reputation. One standard for every allegation. Everyone gets due process. Nancy Pelosi said that today, and I agree with her. But one standard, and it usually is, would a civil jury convict the individual charged or alleged in a jury trial of simple assault and battery? That's my standard, and I think it's been met with Roy Moore. I think it's been proven and admitted by Al Franken and I think John Conyers.
Do you agree with that, Christina, that there needs to be one standard? Everybody deserves due process. Everybody has to go through that. Would they be convicted? I
don't think that there should just be one carte blanche standard, right? Because I do think that as we sort of wait to see about Al Franken and Conyers and all the other people.
Well, we know about Al Franken. I mean, he's admitted to it.
He's admitted to it. And so, I mean, I think, though, when it comes to, you know, when Hugh mentioned the civil court, I mean, if his accuser, who does not seem like she wants to press charges, she was satisfied with his apology at the time. I don't think that that's a carte blanche standard, and I don't think that that's the same as Roy Moore by any stretch of the imagination. I do think that we have to remember that, you know, you don't need white people to uphold white supremacy, and you don't always need men to uphold patriarchy. And so we have women who are also upholding these horrible behaviors and this moving needle of the standard. And we can think about the governor of Alabama, you know, Governor Ivey, when she says, I do think that, you know, I believe these women and these charges are serious and I believe them, but I will also vote for him on December 12th, which is highly problematic.
Hugh, we got about 30 seconds left, but I quickly want you to touch on this. How can these guys at this point be effective lawmakers when you have Al Franken return to work, you have John Conyers still there, you have a possible Roy Moore who could feasibly win this election on December 12th and then be a member of the Senate? How could you be an effective lawmaker when you have all of this hanging over your head? It seems to me like it would be a complete distraction.
Different cases, but I can't see Roy Moore ever making an effective contribution to the body. I don't think he'll get a committee assignment. I think the Ethics Committee will take up his case. If he were to win, and he will be expelled. Al Franken is a different case because he's been in the body for 8 years and he has friendships. So I don't know if he can repair that. I think he ought to just quit and let the governor of Minnesota send a strong liberal Democrat, as Al Franken is,